The name Ven Ẓіnslаіr would be pretty familiar to most Canadians. He's one of the all-time great athletes from their country, as he used to be a former sprinter and won many awards and accolades in the process. Along with the medals, he's earned a good fortune in his tenure. So now, let's take a look at how he spends his time and money post-retirement. Benjamin Sinclair Johnson, who was brought into the world on the 30th of December 1961, is a retired Canadian runner. He won gold medals in the 100 meters at the 1987 World Championships and 1988 Summer Olympics, prior to being precluded for doping and deprived of his awards. He won 2 bronze medals at the 1984 Summer Olympics and gold medals at the 1985 World Indoor Championships, 1986 Goodwill Games, and 1986 Commonwealth Games. During the 1987-88 season, he held the title of the world's quickest man, breaking both the 100-meter and the 60-meter indoor world records before his exclusion. Johnson's first worldwide achievement came when he won 2 silver awards at the 1982 Commonwealth Games in Brisbane, Australia. He completed behind Alan Walls of Scotland in the 100 meters with a period of 10.05 seconds and was an individual from the Canadian 4x100 meters hand-off group, which finished behind Nigeria. This achievement was not rehashed at the 1983 World Championships in Helsinki, where he was wiped out in the semifinals, completing 6th with a period of 10.44, nor at the 1983 Pan American Games in Carcarus, where Johnson set 5th in the 100 meters last with a period of 10.25. At the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, he finished last in the 100 meters after a bogus beginning and won the bronze behind Carl Lewis and Sam Grady with a time of 10.22. He also won bronze with the Canadian 4x100 meter relay group of Johnson, Tony Sharp, Desai Williams, and Sterling Hins, who ran a time of 38.70. Before the finish of the 1984 season, Johnson had secured himself as Canada's top runner, and on August 22nd, in Zurich, Switzerland, he bettered Williams' Canadian record of 10.17 by running 10.12. Sprinter Ven Ẓіnslаіr has an expected total asset of $2 million. He's presumably quite possibly the most disputable competitor of his age. He's an Olympian competitor from Canada who partook at the center of his profession during the 1980s. All through his profession, he has won 1 gold and 2 bronze Olympic medals. However, was subsequently repealed. The Jamaican conceived previous runners set successive 100 meters worldwide bests at the 1987 World Championships in Athletics and the 1988 Summer Olympics. However, he was excluded for doping, losing the Olympic title and the 2 records. In 1991, Johnson endeavored to return, but he performed inadequately and he was associated with another doping occurrence, which required him a lifetime ban from running. He chose to resign from being a competitor, and in the ensuing years, he instructed various competitors. At the point when his running profession ended, Johnson had an acting vocation where he showed up in certain promotions. He was likewise essential for the CBC radio narrative series Rewind, with an episode named Ven Ẓіnslаіr, a Hero Disgraced. If you talk about Ven Ẓіnslаіr, you have to address one of his biggest scandals ever. The world was looking as Usain Bolt finished his 100-meter run on Sunday in 9.81 seconds, adding more gold to the heap he has now. Boomers will probably review watching the 100-meter race in the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, frequently portrayed as the dirtiest race ever. That was the year when Canadian runner Ven Ẓіnslаіr crushed the world record for the 100-meter and won his gold medal, effectively beating his greatest opponent, American Carl Lewis. In 9.7 seconds, he put on what CNN has portrayed as a showcase of force and amazement at no other time found in Olympic-style events, against the best field of runners at any point gathered. He told columnists, "I'd prefer to say my name is Benjamin Sinclair Johnson Jr. and this world record will most recent 50 years, perhaps 100. Later he said, a gold decoration, that is something nobody can detract from you." In practically no time, he was shamefully deprived of his award after drug tests showed hints of the prohibited steroid stanzabol in his urine. Canadians were astonished to discover that they'd been addressed by a cheat and that somebody they'd celebrated as a Canadian saint was seen by the world as a fake. In 1987, he'd effectively been put into a member of the Order of Canada, world record holder for the indoor 60-meter run. This Ontarian has demonstrated himself to be the world's quickest person and has broken Canadian, Commonwealth, and World Cup 100-meter records. A year after the Olympics, at the Canadian government's Dublin inquiry, Johnson conceded that he had lied. His mentor told the request that Johnson had been utilizing steroids since 1981. Johnson was brought into the world in Jamaica in 1961. He was 15 when he came to Toronto with his mom. He connected with coach Charlie Francis, who put him on steroids since, it's been accounted for, he accepted everyone was doing it and pulling off it. Indeed, almost everyone was doing it and pulling it off, essentially continued happening directly through the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, and even into the current Summer Games. At the hour of the Ben Johnson outrage, not under 6 of the 8 finalists in that 100-meter race would ultimately be ensnared in doping embarrassments, including Lewis, whose identity was subsequently uncovered, had tried positive for energizers at the U.S. Olympic preliminaries, as indicated by the Telegraph. In a meeting with the Telegraph journalists in 2013, Johnson conceded to long stretches of steroid use, yet feels he was unjustifiably chosen for attack during a period of broad medication use in sports. "I was nailed on a cross, and after 25 years I'm actually being rebuffed," he said. "I know what I did wasn't right. Rules will be rules. Be that as it may, the standards ought to be something similar for all, yet legislative issues consistently plays in sports." Despite Ben Johnson's net worth being around $2 million a year after he retired, he developed a knack for getting into business and increasing his profits as a result. It's believed that the sprinters made a total net worth of around $100 million. He lived in a big home with his mother until 2004, after which she passed away. Although he's not married, he has a daughter and a granddaughter as well. Life after the end of his career had a lot of ups and downs for the Canadian star. Johnson worked as a trainer for the famous Argentine legend Diego Maradona during the 1997. He did many other one-off events, such as appearing in a charity race in Charlottetown in Prince Edward Island in 1998. In the same event, Ben Johnson raced against a thoroughbred horse, a harness racing horse, as well as the stock car. He ended up finishing third in the race, which is not too bad of a result if your opponent is a 2-meter-long animal with some crazy lower body strength. His life was not surrounded by wealth all that much after his career ended. In the 1990s, he was living downstairs in the house he shared with his mother, Glоріа. He spent his leisure time reading, watching movies, and taking his mother to church. He lived in a spacious home in Newmarket, Ontario's Stonehaven neighborhood. He claims to have lost his Ferrari when he used it as collateral for a loan from an acquaintance in order to make a house payment. His mother died of cancer in 2004, and Johnson lived with his sister afterwards. Shortly after leaving Libya, it was reported that Johnson had been robbed of $7,300 by a Romani gang in Rome. His wallet was taken, containing $7,300 in cash, the proceeds of his pay for training Gaddafi. Johnson gave chase, but he was unable to catch them after they vanished into a subway station. In May 2005, Johnson launched a clothing and sports supplement line, the Ben Johnson Collection. The motto of Johnson's clothing line was, "Catch me." However, the clothing line never caught on. He even filed a $37 million lawsuit against the estate of a former lawyer after claiming that he made unauthorized payments from his account to pay bills. Unfortunately for him, he did not end up winning the settlement. Currently, he's enjoying his life in Ontario, where he resides with his children. It's been quite the long journey for the fallen idol. Once a man who had made his entire nation proud instantly became the villain of the century for cheating to win all those trophies. With this, we've come to the end of our video. We'll catch you in the next one.